percent, but Ethereum drops 3.5%. Plus, stablecoin demand is seeing big flows. We'll get into it all right now on Crypto Corner. Hey everyone, I'm Jenny Horne. A lot to discuss this week, so let's bring in Nate Peterson, Director of Derivatives Analysis for the Schwab Center for Financial Research. Nate, September's over and all that doom and gloom perhaps behind us. Now, October is here. So let's start with your fresh technical look at Bitcoin as well as Ethereum.
Yeah, no doubt, Jenny. Good start to Q4 here for crypto. Let's start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana up 3 to 5% across the board here. So Bitcoin up roughly 3%. We have a couple things going on here. First, we've got a fresh start to a new quarter. Q4 is generally bullish for crypto. October, sometimes called Uptober in the crypto community, because it's bullish seasonality, is good for crypto prices. But then we've also got some of the softness with the ADP government shutdown. And if you look at the probabilities of a Fed cut, they ticked up with that news this morning. So when you think about crypto and you think about how it relates to the Fed, if the more easy the Fed is with money, the more the Fed increases their balance sheet, the more money supply continues to go up, the higher the federal deficit. All that stuff is generally bullish for crypto prices. So when those Fed probabilities of cuts go up, that's been good to help crypto prices today. Additionally, gold and silver, fresh all-time highs today. That's also appearing to boost crypto prices today. So good start to October here. On the charts here, you can see here, Bitcoin has been, kind of consolidating still over the past 6 weeks or so. But I threw up the 100-day simple moving average just because it looks like that's where it found some support. And, we saw some softness post FOMC in crypto generally, more so in Ethereum and Solana. We're going to talk about that. But you can see that pullback that we saw there. And what I think that relates to, well, number one, we had triple witching on September 19th. There were some heavy liquidations within crypto. I think there was some relationship there around that expiration, the triple witching expiration. But I think it also had to do with the Fed's relatively hawkish stance, not as dovish as you'd like if you're looking at crypto or in equities. And so I think that there was the combination of that. And then if we can move to Ethereum, we saw, larger drawdowns within Ethereum and Solana. And it looked like that there were some key levels that Ethereum and Solana, Jenny, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, that potentially Ethereum had gone up to 4,900, its prior all-time high. It pulled back. It was finding support at 4,275. And if everything was going to turn out in terms of bullish seasonality and a dovish Fed, that perhaps it could test that new all-time high. That didn't happen. We got roughly a 10% pullback in Ethereum. But if you can look at the chart here, it looks like that 50-day simple moving average is coming in to play. But I'd say more importantly, look at the left side of your chart, that double top from back in December. That's around $4,000. Prior resistance becomes support. This is also representative of the breakout level from August. So 4,000 is a key level for Ethereum. It looks like here over the past week, the bulls held their ground where they needed to, bouncing off that 4,000 level. So right now, yes, the 50-day SMA is important. Perhaps more important, I put support at 4,000, resistance at 4,900. We'll see if and when Ethereum gets back up towards that 4,900, if it can make a push to new highs. And then let's just touch on Solana, because these are the two that we were talking about, potentially altcoin season coming up. It's kind of the outperformance of Solana. And then look at where this 50-day SMA comes into play for Solana. And we have some basically confluence here, meaning that 50-day SMA roughly coincides with the $200 price level. That's also a key level for Solana. It's also seeing some relative strength here. Solana bouncing where it should. So we're not busting out to new highs, but in terms of support, the bulls kind of held their ground where they needed to on both Ethereum and Solana.
Okay, and you did alert us to a story that involves SWIFT, which is a global messaging and wire transfer service for these various banking institutions, and now it's foray into blockchain. So tell us more about this.
Yeah, so Swift, traditional finance, when you think about wires, cross-border payments, think about a wire these days that sometimes you would go to, to a bank to fill out a form, to send some money, to someone, in another country, for example, or even another state, and how long it would take to get there. And then blockchain comes along, and you have, the likes of XRP, for example, that are saying, look, blockchain technology, it's faster and cheaper, and you better watch out because this could be a replacement for Swift. Well, Swift is responding. I mean, on Monday they announced that they're doing a prototype of an open ledger where they're allowing for tokenized assets to potentially be transferred. So they're just testing this. It's not breaking news. They've been exploring this area since 2022. But the point is with Swift is it's basically evolve or die. Why is it important for the crypto community? Well, I think that perhaps with XRP, because that's, largely within the DeFi space, a lot of banks, are associated with the XRP there, that the hope, one of the bullish thesis perhaps was that XRP could potentially replace Swift at some time. Swift is saying not so fast. We're going to be exploring blockchain technology because look, faster and cheaper, if it's more economical, more efficient, these are the benefits that Web3 kind of brings to the plate. And Swift is saying, okay, we recognize that we're going to try and evolve here. So just keep an eye on this and how it evolves. I mean, I think that it's not just Swift. It's a lot of banks that are adopting stable coins, et cetera, that are recognizing that this technology is basically getting more and more validation as every day progresses.
Absolutely. And last but not least, to that point, stablecoin flows. We did see data indicating big inflows for USDT and USDC. What does this mean overall for that space?
Yeah, no doubt, Jenny. So again, Web3, showing its flexing its muscles here in a sense, but maybe not a surprise. But in Q2, basically, we had inflows of 10 billion into stable coins, 4x that in Q3 to roughly 45 billion. With Circle and Tether, their stable coins, taking the bulk of that share. And so that is a significant jump. I don't know if there's necessarily analyst estimates about how quickly stable coins are supposed to expand or receive these inflows, but we can track it going forward. I mean, 10 billion to 45 billion quarter over quarter is significant. We can look at the delta there, and then we can compare it next quarter just to get a sense of stable coin adoption and how quickly the digital economy is moving into Web3 here. And that's important for the likes of Ethereum. Of course, we know that Ethereum, I believe, at least one of the fundamental drivers that we've talked about, Jenny, is that more than 50% of stablecoins are using Ethereum's network, and we've seen that relative outperformance in Ethereum over Bitcoin since April. And so this is just validation that, yes, stablecoins are here and growing, and we'll keep an eye on this because I think that the faster that you get more of these inflows into stablecoins, wider adoption, theoretically, at least, one would think this would be good for the likes of Ethereum and Solana. Solana is associated with stablecoins as well. It's faster and cheaper, but it doesn't have that adoption. It doesn't have the same kind of network effect that Ethereum has because there's so many developers that utilize Ethereum's network. So they are the leader, but Solana is one to watch, and we have seen that outperformance in Solana as well. So I just tie stablecoins to Ethereum and Solana. We've seen those outperform. Let's continue to track the inflows to stablecoins in the quarters to come.
Yeah, and I definitely think this will continue to be a developing story that we, of course, discuss here on Crypto Corner. But appreciate it, Nate Peterson. That does wrap up this week's edition of Crypto Corner. Subscribe to Schwab Network's YouTube page so you never miss an episode. I'm Jenny Horne. We'll see you again soon.